Literature gives us the opportunity to experience lives, perspectives, and worlds different from our own. Though remember, friend, a good story has many readings, and this is but one. Listen, you've become unstuck in time. That's to say, you don't experience time in a linear order anymore. For example, one moment, you're a child, the next a married adult, then a captive of an alien culture, and then a POW in Dresden, Germany as it's bombed by the Allies. Sometimes you're not born yet, or you're even dead. So it goes. This is the disorienting reality in which World War II veteran Billy Pilgrim finds themselves in Slaughterhouse Five. No, that's not the name of a post-punk rock quintet. It's the title of Kurt Vonnegut's serio-comic, semi-autobiographical, postmodern, sort of sci-fi, anti-war classic. And since you've yet to read that mouthful of words, Zoe and I would be thrilled to help you start untangling this timey-wimey knot. Hi-ho. This episode is brought to you by the Curiosity Stream Nebula Bundle, but more on that awesomeness after the episode. And those are all the reasons you should read Slaughterhouse Five. Wait, we're at the end, aren't we? Oh, Zoe, can you please try to fix the timeline? Okay, better. So you haven't read Slaughterhouse Five by Kurt Vonnegut, or maybe you have read it in the future, but you're looking for a reason to read it right this moment. Well, luckily, there's a ton of reasons. It's simultaneously a powerful look at the devastating impact of war, a meditation on fate versus free will, and an often hilarious science fiction romp. But before we dive in, let's break down its origins. During World War II, Vonnegut really was a POW, captured by the Germans during the Battle of the Bulge. There, while he and his fellow prisoners were being held in Dresden, in an actual slaughterhouse numbered 5, he witnessed firsthand the Allied firebombing that incinerated the city and the horrors that followed. He wanted to write about his experience, but as some literary scholars postulate, perhaps the memories were too painful to face head-on. So he created a fictional soldier, Billy Pilgrim, with a unique way of experiencing time, and then dropped him into that very real situation. Speaking of which, I think it's about time we dropped you into the story, don't you think? You are Billy Pilgrim, a World War II soldier. Oh, wait, no, sorry, it looks like we're a little bit later in your timeline. Don't worry, you get used to it. So what's happening here is that you have actually been abducted from Earth and put on display in a zoo on the planet Tralfamador. Oh, and that woman right there is a porn star named Montana Wildhack, who was abducted and put on display as well. Oh, and look at that, there's the baby you had together. So cute. See, the Tralfamadorians don't experience time the way we do. In fact, they perceive their whole life simultaneously. Birth, death, and everything in between, all at the same time. So, they don't perceive free will as a concept, because they themselves are locked into their whole lifetime. Thus, death is just one point in a being's existence. A person might be deceased at one point in time, but they're alive and well at many other points in time. And when they do encounter a dead being, when they themselves are experiencing being alive, their response is inevitably a fatalistic, so it goes. A phrase that Vonnegut uses as a refrain each time death occurs or is mentioned in the book. And your time among the Tralfamadorians is actually what leaves you unstuck in time. You can't experience your whole life at once like they do, but you definitely are no longer experiencing it in linear order. For example, here you are now in World War II, cleaning up bodies after the firebombing. Wait, no, now here you are as one of the only survivors of a plane crash. Yikes. Oh, yeah, okay, and here you are returned from your time as a zoo animal display. And now you're being murdered by a hitman hired by one of your fellow veterans. So it goes, and now you're back in Dresden again. You always end up in Dresden again. Kurt Vonnegut, subtitled Slaughterhouse Five, The Children's Crusade, A Duty Dance with Death. The implication being that all wars are kind of like children's crusades, in so much as young people are inevitably the ones sent to die on behalf of the older people. And this message particularly resonated with the public when the book was published in 1969 at the height of America's involvement in Vietnam, and became his first real commercial and critical success. So, is Slaughterhouse Five an anti-war novel? Well, within the text of the book, Vonnegut writes about how one might as well try to write an anti-glacier novel, in that both glaciers and wars are inevitable. On the other hand, Billy Pilgrim's experience with time can also be seen as a metaphor for PTSD, the profound trauma of his wartime service forever impacting his perception of reality. After all, thanks to his time traveling, he will always return to Dresden and will never be able to change the outcome. Speaking of, there you are again, in the slaughterhouse with your fellow prisoners, including author Vonnegut, who puts in a cameo from the latrine, and some German guards. You hear the bombs dropping all around you, but this building you're in turns out to be just protected enough to survive the attack. And when you emerge, thousands are dead. So it goes. Now here you are, newly a prisoner on a train on its way to Dresden. Your fellow soldier, Ronald Weary, a war-romanticizing bully, got you both captured through his bluster, but he blames you. And as he lays dying, he asks a third POW to avenge his death by killing you, a request that eventually leads to your own death. So it goes. And here you are in Dresden with your friend Edgar Derby. He's slightly older than the rest of you and a schoolteacher, so he has a different view of the war. Derby earned everyone's admiration by standing up to a Nazi propagandist, but now at this moment, he's very pleased that he found a tea kettle in the ruins of the city, and he's immediately shot by the guards for thievery. There has been so much death and horror in Dresden, and they killed him over a teapot. So it goes. In the first chapter of the book, the narrator tells us that all of this happened, more or less. Vonnegut really did see a man get shot over a teapot. He really did know somebody who swore he'd have all of his enemies killed after the war, and he really did survive the firebombing in the titular slaughterhouse. And by adding the time travel conceit, he allows us to experience a sliver of what it might feel like to be forever stuck in a traumatic event, but to help us process it, couched often in a hilarious sci-fi narrative. Is it any wonder that Billy Pilgrim, Kurt Vonnegut, and generations of young people who have lived through similar atrocities face incredibly uphill battles resuming any semblance of a normal civilian life after a war? Anyway, all of that is to say, there is no time like the literal present you're experiencing right now to start reading Slaughterhouse 5. So why not go to the local library and check it out? Oh, you're already reading it. Great. Wait, Zoe, did we jump ahead in time again? Oh, okay. You're just reading it now. Though, could we jump ahead in time? I kind of want to talk to someone about it. Fine. I'll just wait, I guess. Geez, linear time is lame. So, why don't we just ignore it altogether? Because guess what, baby? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I might as well be in my 20s again because I say so, and I'm gonna watch next week's Extra History episode right now before it even comes out on YouTube through the time-traveling magic that is Nebula First, baby. Woo! That is right, friendos. Our little creator-owned and operated independent streaming service that I am so damn proud to be a part of, by the way, just got actually better because now we and a bunch of our creator friends are ramping up a new feature called Nebula First. And how it works is, thanks to the support that we get from Nebula, we can now produce all of our episodes of Extra History faster than we ever could, and then release them a full week early over on Nebula. So along with catching all of our Frederick the Great episodes early, right? You could also be seeing videos from just a ton of other cool folks like Movies with Mikey, Foreign Man in a Foreign Land, and Jetlag, all way earlier than you would be able to on YouTube with Nebula First. And that's on top of being able to watch all videos, including ours, without ads like, this one, and the ever-growing list of just awesome Nebula originals over there. Case in point, I just watched Lindsay Ellis's new video essay called We Don't Talk About E.T., which not only is a very true title, by the way, but it is a fun and insightful look at the cultural impact of everyone's favorite Reese's Pieces fiend 40 years later. 40 years? Jeez, my bones are turning to dust just thinking about that. But swinging back to what's important here, we can actually talk about my favorite part now, because I'm going to walk you through how to get all of that goodness and more for less than $15 for an entire year. Okay, first things first. You go to my link in the description. It's right down there, you'll see it, which is actually going to take you to CuriosityStream, who's partnered with us over on Nebula. Then once you're there, what you're going to do is select the cheapest annual plan and sign up using my code EXTRACREDITS. Please don't forget that part, thank you in advance. Now, it won't say it on there, but I promise you, if you do the above steps and use my code at checkout, you're going to get a shiny new email from Nebula into your inbox saying that your Nebula account has been activated. Meaning what just happened was that you got access to Nebula, home of just a ton of smart creators releasing early and original videos, and CuriosityStream, the best place for thousands of big-budget documentaries and nonfiction titles for crazy cheap. All in less than 5 minutes, and again for less than $15 a year. Honestly, I'm not sure how that is exactly possible, but I'm not going to question it, because it really is just a great way to see the best content this old series of tubes has to offer you that also directly helps out our channel at the same time. So let me be the first to welcome you to the Nebula First experience, because I think you are really going to enjoy it here. Say, did you ever hear the one about Skylar Holmes, Kuya Koi, Joseph Blame, Dominic Valenciana, Casey Muscha, Arclight Games, Angela Valenciana, and Ahmad Ziad Turk being fantastic legendary patrons? Because I sure did.